Welcome, everybody, to another exciting Detroit News webcast. I'm Terry Foster, my main guy, Vinny, Vincent Goodwill, who's the Pistons beat writer. And Vinny, I got a big question for you here at the halfway mark of the Pistons. Ready?
Let's go.
Why are they winning games now? Aren't they supposed to be tanking so they can get that high draft pick? You know fans have brought that up.
Yeah, the Pistons are in a lose-lose situation, Terry. If they win games, then people are saying they're messing up lottery position. If they're losing games, then fans are saying, oh, my God, the team is terrible. Fire the coach, get rid of the players. There's no foundation, and get rid of everybody. So right now, if you're winning games, Terry, it shows you that you at least have some good players. It at least shows you have some marketable players that possibly you could move by the trade deadline, players you could build around. So when you do get that high draft pick, whether it's 1 or 7 or 10, you have some semblance of a foundation.
Well, I just know if I'm paying my money to go to the Palace, which I never do, I at least want to see the team win. But I guess one of the things that I thought is I wasn't sure about Lawrence Frank when they hired him, and I'm still not 100% sure. But it seems like at least some of his teachings are starting to get through. Guys I talked to said they were confused. Is the message finally getting through to these players?
I think anytime you start off after a lockout season with a new coach, a new system, coming off of a John Custer-like 2 years, I think any type of coach is going to have some confusion with his ball club. But he preaches defense, he preaches a sense of togetherness, and in the locker room, when you talk to guys afterwards, they use terms that he uses. So obviously, somewhere psychologically, his message is starting to sink in. Now, whether that translates to wins and losses, we haven't necessarily seen that yet. But at least, if nothing else, there's no mutiny, there's no player-coach conflict, there's no player-player conflict. So small victories, at least so far this year.
I know you don't like to do the grade system because when you were in school, you used to get a lot of D's and C's.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
But when you look at this team, I wouldn't give anyone an A. But I might give B's to the young guys, Monroe and the little guy, what's his name? Brandon Knight. Those two guys, I probably would give them B's. Is there any A's in your mind on that team?
No. Just because Greg Monroe is not an elite defensive player, at least not yet. You know, offensively, he does everything. He can pass it extremely well. He can play out of the post. He can play out of the high post. He very unselfish. He rebounds extremely well. Defensively is where probably he comes up a little bit short as far as man-to-man defense. And Brandon Knight, he's not yet a complete point guard, which is why Rodney Stuckey being around helps him. But if you look at those two guys, at least your best players are your young players. If your best players were your old players, your players you're not trying to build around, then you'd have a problem. But if your best players are your last 2 first-round draft picks, then you have something that you should be looking forward to.
I tell you, the guy that confuses me is Rodney Stuckey. And talked to him the other day, and he says he's got some problems still with his injuries. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's why we might see 25 points one day, 6 the other, 0 the other night. What is up with Rodney Stuckey? Because people talk about this guy constantly out there.
You know what? I think that's the thing. Nobody knows exactly how to define him just yet. And usually after 4 or 5 years, we know what box to put a player in, Terry. You know who he almost reminds me of? He almost reminds me of Lindsey Hunter. After
he's supposed to take over for Isaiah Thomas.
Supposed to take over for Isaiah Thomas. He turned into an effective player, but he wasn't the quote-unquote next Isaiah that people expected him to be. The same way people expect Rodney Stuckey to be the next Chauncey or that guy to lead them into the next, phase of, whatever reincarnation the Pistons are supposed to be. Can he be an effective player? Yes. Is he a star player? I don't necessarily think so, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have any value.
The All-Star break, didn't get off to a particularly good start out of it. What do you expect, or what are the expectations for the second half? What are guys talking about in the second half of the season?
Terry, they just want to get better. I don't know if it necessarily how that translates into wins and losses over the next 31 games. But if Brandon Knight keeps progressing, if you find out what you have in, if you have in an Austin Day or Charlie Villanueva before the offseason comes up, then that's what you have. A lot of questions still have to be answered in these next 31 games. Whether they make some type of magical playoff run, or they bottom out to the bottom of the lottery, they still have a lot of questions. Tayshaun Prince, he's having a career low year. Rodney Stuckey, almost at the same level. He's turning the corner, but he has such a slow start. His numbers don't look as good. So you have to figure out exactly what you have and who you have going forward.
Well, when we look forward to the second half of the Pistons season, I suppose, and I don't really expect much out of them, but I think the key is to try to prepare for next season with, continuity, learning the coach, learning the system. I don't think there's really much else to expect from this team.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, this is a lockout shortened season. What are you going to do? Make a playoff run?
It's a wasted year?
No, I wouldn't say no. It's not.
Okay.
It's not a wasted year. Would be last year or the year before, where
Okay.
you literally got nothing done. This year, at least you're setting the foundation. You're getting Brandon Knight's feet wet. You're getting Greg Monroe to the point where he can be a dependable 2010 guy. And Tayshaun Prince, Ben Wallace, they're sort of coming maybe possibly to the end of their Piston careers in a sense. At least Ben Wallace a little bit ahead of Tayshaun Prince in that sense. But you're getting your foundation set, Terry. That's the big thing for this year.
Well, we hope you enjoyed us. I'm Terry Foster. This is Vincent Goodwill. Are you buying the Conies today?
Nope.
All right. We'll see you next time.